Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Longhorn Weekly, which we bring to you normally each week with Longhorns head basketball coach Shaka Smart. Shaka, a little under the weather today, so we thought we'd also take the opportunity, especially with this being an unusual week, with a couple of games that were on the schedule that are now pushed back later, to have an opportunity to visit with a couple of members of Shaka's staff. Leading us off is a guy we always enjoy visiting with, Neill Berry, now in his third season as assistant coach on Coach Smart's staff. So, Neill, I appreciate the time. It's good to see you again. Good to see you went a full-on pandemic beard like I did. So, I get it's all part of the adjustment that we're all dealing with, right?
No doubt, no doubt. I appreciate you having me. It's great seeing you as well. I'm not a big fan of shaving, so this has been one positive through this time. So.
Let me get your thoughts first of all on the fact that what we're all dealing with and how different it was for you. Take us back, if you can, back during the spring and the summer, and how you and the staff were kind of managing the time that you had in terms of Zoom chats and all of the other things that were going on during the pandemic, how you maintain your connection with the players, and because that obviously is very important to the growth and development of a basketball team. I know it had to be so vastly different than what you're normally used to. So take us back through that ride, back through the spring and the summer, through those highly unusual times.
Yeah, obviously for everybody, it's been a major change. We were talking about it a little bit before the Kansas State game. March 11th, we're all in Kansas City. I guess probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock that night when Rudy Gobert, it kind of hit SportsCenter that he tested positive. And, really from that point on, it's just been a whirlwind. Coach has done an amazing job. He really has of just kind of keeping the message consistent with us as a staff, with our team, just that, hey guys, we got to be flexible. We got to be adaptable. It's just, there's so many things out of our control. It's been great to have an older team in these times. I think if you look around the country, we're very fortunate to have an older group. I think you look around and you see a lot of younger teams right now, and it's a challenge for them. With these guys that we have, with our seniors, our upperclassmen, we've been together through a lot of different experiences, and our guys have done an amazing job. I think like everybody, we've gotten really accustomed to Zoom, to FaceTime. We kind of do that with our guys anyway before the pandemic, with FaceTime and different things like that. So Zoom's been great for us. That's one of our core values as a program, is relationships. And Coach really, really emphasizes that with, just staff to staff, but obviously with our players too. And, I think those relationships, that have been developed over years and into this time now have really helped us kind of transition into the season and have the success we've been having so far. So it's different, but that's where we are. That's where we are. So,
I was curious about something that you said, and it takes me back to a question that I asked Coach Smart before the season began, a couple of weeks before the season began, and that was about the unusual dynamic of having every single player from last year's team back this year, in addition to adding Greg Brown to the roster. Now, obviously, Gerald Liddell and Will Baker are going their own direction afterwards, and we've all said, we certainly wish them all the best in the future. But at the time, every single player was back from last year's team. And I asked Shaka at the time, I said, have you ever been around? I know you haven't been around this, obviously, at Texas, and I doubt you were around it at VCU as head coach. But I said, maybe in your time as an assistant on Billy Donovan's staff or Oliver Purnell's staff, have you ever been around a team that returned every single player from the prior year? And he said, no, never. And he said the challenge, and this was back in October, he said the challenge is going to be making sure that the chemistry is still good, that everybody still stays connected, because you have guys who were major contributors last year who were expecting to pick up right where they left off, and then you have some younger guys who might have gotten some limited minutes or lesser minutes and felt like maybe they warrant more and all that, warranted some more time, and so there was that dynamic. And he said it's all got to work. It looks like it's all worked out really well. But let me start with that. You had 15 years in the Division I level as assistant coach, and you've been other places. You ever been around a team that returned every single player?
Nah, never, never. And not only that, I mean, it's, every single player had helped us win a big game, a high major, if not conference or non-conference game, every single one of them. So it was a unique dynamic for sure. And our guys, I mean, like I keep going back to that just experience, and our guys have done a great job. They have real relationships with each other. It's not perfect by any stretch, but I think that they've really bought into each other, stayed connected, and understand that we do have a common goal as a team, and what that is. And if we can stay true to that, everybody will benefit from that. You hear it a lot, but it's obviously much easier said than done. And coaches done a tremendous job of keeping our guys focused on that one day at a time. Because I mean that in life that's what you have, and obviously in this what we're going through right now, it's really that's all we have is the day here, and let's take advantage of it and go from there. So, but no, I've never experienced anything like it. But
Have you ever? I don't know the best way to describe this. I guess in that you said we take things a day at a time, and a couple of dynamics have kind of come across to me going all the way back in the football season, seeing how football student athletes dealt with it. Now I've seen it with basketball as well. Is that young people, when it comes to the adjustments we've all had to make, things like getting on the team charter, wearing an N95 mask and a face shield and all that, they seem relatively nonplussed by it all, and have handled all of those kinds of things, plus the other distancing protocols and guidelines that have gone into place. They all seem pretty flexible on a lot of that stuff, perhaps a little more flexible than some of us older guys have been as well. So has that been impressive to see how flexible some of these young guys are, and how they've just kind of adapted and adjusted to what had to be in play to deal with all this?
yeah, no, it's I mean it's incredible. It really is. I mean and their life has really been changed. I mean, just even going to class, they don't do that anymore. Everything's via Zoom. So, I mean, just everything in their life has changed, which is the same for a lot of us. But our guys have done a tremendous job. They really have. And coach is really in tune with understanding the different challenges that can bring to each individual, and he does a great job of talking to them, of letting them talk in different sessions that we have. And I mean it's literally day to day. I mean, because it's so new, and there's so many unknowns out there. So with that can come anxiety and different stresses. But we are fortunate. We have an older group. They really do get along with each other. Again, like, it's not perfect. They're all highly competitive guys, so practice at times can get chippy, but that's a good thing. But yeah, they've been amazing through it. And I mean, and they really have kind of got, coach talks about, I'm sure you've heard him say it, get lost in the fight a lot. And they've done that. When we stepped in between those lines, they've really kind of lost themselves in those moments, if it's practice or games, and we've been able to keep getting better through it. So.
All right, coming up, I want to talk about some of those big guys. We're going to be joined by one a little later on in the program, and Royce Ham Jr. I want to discuss that, but I also want to talk about being in the fight in the Big 12 Conference, because this league has proven to be quite the battleground. It is every year, but it's certainly the case again this season. We're visiting with Neill Berry right now, and we'll continue here with Longhorn Weekly with head coach Shaka Smart, and seen as with Coach Berry with us right now. For those of you watching on the Longhorn Network and listening all across the great state of Texas on the Longhorn Radio Network from Learfield IMG College. Hey, want to remind those of you when you're watching the Longhorns at home on television, since for the moment fans not allowed into the Irwin Center, but make sure to turn on and that you have your basketball notifications turned on in your Texas Longhorns app, and you'll receive 5 free wings, a coupon for 5 free wings from Pluckers with the Horns when at home there on the app. All of us, as we continue to adjust, and of course bringing you Longhorn Weekly from remote locations. Assistant Coach Neill Berry joining us from the UT campus. I'm at our flagship station here in Austin, the Horn, and we were discussing about the adjustments and the things that have gone on. Let me get your thoughts first of all about this Big 12 conference race, because we've seen the teams just battle on a night in, night out basis. I happen to be in Waco on Monday night for a national radio broadcast of Baylor and Kansas, and of course Baylor continues to be at the top of the heap right now, but Kansas made a couple of big pushes in the game. We're seeing this grind in the league, both at home and on the road, not only for your team, but for everybody seemingly in this league on a night in, night out basis.
Yeah. I mean, this is my 6th season in the league, 2 different stops. And I mean, every year it's like you kind of think, oh man, we lose all these players, it could be a little bit down here. And then the season starts coming and there is no down here. We all say it. I think you've heard every coach in this league say it. We feel, very strongly that it's the best league in the country. There's, obviously 10 teams. There is no bottom to the league. There never has been. Literally every night you step on the floor, you have to be ready to play. And this year's like, there's no difference this year. Obviously Baylor's has had a tremendous start to the season. But you look at their last 2 games at Tech and Kansas at home. They've been great games, and I think you can say the same for all 6 of ours so far. It's 40 minutes. It's 4 minutes at a time, a grind, and we got to keep getting better and practice every day. And our guys have done a great job to this point, but we got 12 more of them. Hopefully, if we can get them all in, that it's a tough league. So, but we're excited about where we are right now.
Do you think that because your guys are in this grind on a game in, game out basis, that they kind of get that, they understand it? Because there's a lot of leagues across the country where, quite frankly, that simply is not the case. It's like a third world country. You have teams at the top and teams at the bottom, and there's a big chasm sometimes. But as you pointed out, that's the old on any given night thing. We've already seen that in this league, where a team down in the bottom of the standings can knock off one of the upper echelon groups. Do you think you guys understand that now, simply because they've been in the fight here the past couple of years?
No doubt. No doubt. I think coaches, he's always done a great job of preparing guys for that and talking about it, but there's just a different element that comes when you have players that have been through it and they are able to explain it to each other. Literally on our current roster, 10 of our guys have been in major moments of big games, big 12 games. So, and Greg is obviously, the 5 that he's played in so far, he's been in big moments, and obviously kind of the AAU and different things that he played in kind of going to this point have prepared him for that. But yeah, there's no doubt the messaging from the players always carries more weight when they can help each other with that. So again, I talked about experience earlier in our conversation, and that's, that helps so much. If you can be old in college basketball or college athletics in general, it just helps a ton. So yeah, our guys have done a good job, and unique circumstances. The past 3 home games, you come out there and there's nobody there. The crowd noise is one thing when it's pumped through the microphone or through the speakers, but that in itself is a unique dynamic. But our guys done awesome with that. So.
I was going to ask you, how much of an adjustment is that for you, Coach Smart, and the coaching staff, knowing that your every word kind of reverberates around the arena, so that not only do your players hear the instructions, but the opposing players are hearing the instructions, the opposing bench is hearing the instructions, and by the same token, you're hearing what's coming from the opposing bench. How much of an adjustment is that? How different is that? How strange is it to adjust to that, understanding that instructions that are being relayed onto the floor are being heard by everybody?
Yeah. It's different. The Iowa State game, that was the first game we had here at home when there wasn't anybody, and it was a strange feeling for sure. It was eerie. You're just, we had experienced it in Maui, but it was different there. Just being in the tournament atmosphere, it just had a different feel to it. But they definitely, coaches can hear what we're saying. We can hear what they're saying. That's, some people get caught up in that a lot. I don't think coaches too concerned about it. They already know. in this league, I mean, these coaches, I mean, you're looking at Hall of Fame coaches across the board and coaches that have been to Final Four. Like their teams are prepared for what we're going to do. We've prepared for what they're going to do. There's not a lot of changes in the moment. You know, it's more about who can execute what they do better, and so that's part of it. But you know, that the Iowa State game for sure was a unique feeling. But you know, since then, our guys have, you know, they really have gotten kind of lost in the game. We're out there playing, they're having fun. You know, grateful again that we have older guys, because younger guys in these times, man, I'm sure it's a challenge for sure.
Toward that end, you brought up Greg Brown, and Greg didn't play in the last ball game, but you mentioned he's been a factor certainly, and has learned a lot in the 5 games. I would imagine having veteran guys has helped his development and his growth. By the same token, you and Coach Smart and the rest of the staff knew how talented he was coming in, so I'm sure you're not stunned or surprised to see how he's able to impact a game even at this very early stage of the next level of his play development as a basketball player.
Yeah, no, Greg's, I mean, he's been awesome. I think the biggest thing for him that is just, you know, excites you as a coach is he's, for all the praise that he received, the hype that he had coming in, and all well deserved, and you know, he obviously earned it. He has been beyond humble in his approach to take coaching. He's been great, you know, and a lot of kids that have received that same type of praise at his age. I mean, you know, you just never know what to expect. But his parents, his dad, I mean, I think the way they raised him has helped kind of mold him into the young man he is. He's still young, and he's still learning and growing. Doesn't always like our guys getting on him, but I think he also appreciates to know that they've been there. Everybody here in this program has my best interest at heart, and he's been a joy to coach. I mean, he's a special young man, a special talent. He can rebound that basketball better than anybody I've probably ever seen in person. He goes and gets those things with 2 hands that are just impressive. So we're glad he's here. We're glad he's here.
No doubt. All right, we're going to visit with a young man who you also work pretty closely with, and I know you're really proud of his work and what he brings in terms of his energy and physical nature to the game. Royce Hamm Jr. will join us when we continue Longhorn Weekly. Assistant Coach Neill Berry joining us during this portion of the program, and we'll continue in a moment.